In today's market, keeping investments safe is a top priority. Thanks to Liquid Loans, the sponsor of the Zone 5 podcast, there's a smart way to protect and grow your assets. Their platform offers a stable shield against market volatility. Interested in transforming your financial landscape? Visit liquidloans.io and find out how to make your assets work harder for you. It's a strategy worth exploring. Hello, welcome to the Zone 5 Pulsechain Podcast. It is me, BitBoy Crypto himself. I am joined, as always, by a lovely bunch of coconuts, starting first with the most exclusive, the most elite Duchess of all Duchesses, the Duchess of DeFi. Hello, Cassie. How are you?
I'm wonderful, Ben. How are you?
Well, I'm doing pretty good. Long time no see.
Nice. Every day.
Of course, we are joined by our resident Hexpert. We call him the Hexpert. That's right. His name is Corey Costa, ladies and gentlemen. He loves crypto coins. Corey, what's going on?
What's going on, Ben? What's going on, Cassie? How you guys doing?
Welcome to the show today, the Hexologist. Funny story, we actually met out in Idaho when I was out there for some family stuff with Cassie, and it was great to meet you, and welcome to the show.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. It was cold, right? It was around Christmas.
It was really cold. Yeah. Now it's getting too hot. So
yeah, actually today the AC in the truck wasn't really cranking, but I thought a great place to start today would be there's some news that broke the last couple of weeks if people were watching, and it had to do with Token 2049. Now we're going to get into Hexologist and his background, why he's such a great guy. Follow him on Twitter at Hexologist31.
Yep, that's the one.
That's right, or x.com. Make sure to follow him there. But I want to get into this crazy thing that's going on over in Dubai with the conference, the flooding. The conference is going on right now while we're recording this, so we don't know the ultimate result, karate combat fight and stuff, how it turns out. But I thought it was amazing the stuff that was going on with Richard going into this conference. And so I'm sure Hexologist, you know a little bit about it. Do you want to kind of explain it a little bit or break it down?
Well, all I saw is the Highest of Stakes movie, which is a movie about the Hex journey so far. If you guys haven't seen it, go and see it. It's a great movie. You can find it on Amazon, pretty much any streaming website that you can find, but it's called The Highest of Stakes. It was on like front and center of all of the TV screens on the back of each seat. And it's just Richard's face, so people were taking pictures because it's the entire flight of just Richard's face on the entire flight. So,
well, I'll pull it up here in just a second so people can see it. But the Highest Stakes movie actually was produced by our friend RG3, who was the first episode of the Pulsechain Podcast, Zone 5.
That's wild.
Yeah, it is. Can you believe that? It was on Air Emirates. So, we've been on Air Emirates before, and you've seen the little screen, how they've got the data center that you can use right here. Here it is. Look at this. So, so this is the Highest Stakes movie, as you guys can see here. But this is what I wanted to show you guys, which is this. This is what they were welcomed to on United Arab Emirates or the Air Emirates flight. Everyone that was on the way to Token 2049, that is what they were greeted with.
They have a picture of the actual videos. We've had a lot of things like that. We had a whole bunch of taxi cabs that were in Europe and England for the first of when Hex first came out. We've had billboards. We've had a lot of things, that kind of get nobody remembers any of it, but
the NASCAR sponsorship, right?
The NASCAR, there was which we don't talk about the NASCAR because it was the last. It was the last car in the entire race to finish.
I didn't know. I did not know.
But funny enough, I actually know a pretty good bit about the crypto NASCAR stuff because I actually know the guy who basically was the hookup for those sponsorships on behalf of NASCAR. He kind of worked in the middle a little bit, and they were all really, really bad coins. Dragon Chain was one of the ones that was on there. There was one called Gifto, and what was going on is they were actually, the guy was taking in all of this extra money in the native token, right? So Gifto paid him all this money in their token for the sponsorship. Of course, the token never went up, and he lost all the money on the middle. And he was actually brokering this, so he was paying less money to NASCAR. And he was getting the tokens. He was getting more money for that, but he basically lost it all. So, there were some YouTubers that had some cars. And you got to think about this. I didn't know this with NASCAR, but apparently it's basically rigged. It's like there are only so many cars in the field that can actually compete. The bottom 20 cars, they're not built to compete at all. They can't. You're not going to see the guy starting last finish unless it's, Martin Truex is starting last because he had a penalty or something. because
Interesting.
right. And so what this means is this is what people don't realize is all of these crypto cars that the NASCAR people were giving them, they were all cars that were not going to do anything. So they're going around the track and you see them, but they're not really in the action. And they're not saying, oh, the number 42 Hex car here's coming up. I was going to be a Pulsechain car. Oh my God, there's the Ethereum car. It's broke down, So anyway.
That would be the Solana car.
We got what is it? Green. What is the flag? Caution flag. Caution flag. Solana has stopped completely. Oh my God. I'll tell you, I think there's probably a lot of Pulsechain people that like NASCAR. I think so. But anyways, I wanted to add a little context there for that. But
no, I mean, I know that they also have, if I'm not mistaken, there's Top Cat Racing in the UK that still is representing Hex right now, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, they have 2 Lamborghinis that take number 1 all of the time. It's pretty crazy how good they are.
I don't know how big it is either. I interviewed one of the drivers, and her name was Charlotte Birch, if I'm not mistaken. I interviewed her about a year ago, and I interviewed 2 representatives from Top Cat a while back as well. Yeah, that was a while ago. But
that
sounds like they're still doing it.
Sounds like something Cassie would love. A Top Cat. She loves cats. Guys, this is the tweet. This is crypto copy. Richard Hart's documentary has been exposed to rich crypto bros outside the Pulsechain echo chamber while they're stuck on a Dubai flight to Token 2049 conference. What else would they possibly watch? Great marketing. Hayes, Veer, and more will have hot topics to discuss. It wouldn't be me because I've already seen it, guys. And there it is.
Wow.
And we've been on those flights before, and I can close my eyes and see myself there. My only question is why is this person? Why are they in economy? You got to go business class when you're on Air Emirates.
Oh, geez. Yeah.
But the business class on Emirates is better than first class anywhere else.
Really?
Somewhat affordable. First class is not really affordable for the average person, but it's also really, really nice. But if you're traveling, like I was telling Cassie, if we went to Dubai together again, we wouldn't want to sit in first class because you're in an individual pod. Like we like going on long flights together because we spend time together. We actually like being around each other and not having other stuff to do. So we love those Dubai flights or whatever. So but anyway, cool. And here they are. They're on here watching this video, the high stakes. Here's a question, guys. What percentage of crypto people going to the event that were on that flight, you think actually took that time and watched that movie?
I mean,
Yeah,
a lot.
Yeah,
I would think because
almost all
crypto, right?
It's an hour and a half, and I mean, how long's the flight? You got Richard's stupid face looking at you for an hour or like 16 hours, or you just, it keeps popping up there, the king of the cryptos. Well, you might want to just watch it, just put it in. It's a 16-hour flight.
Yeah, I mean, a 16-hour flight. My God, that sounds.
Well, that's how long it is for me to Dubai. Not that I've been there, but to England it was. So I'm guessing it's probably even further.
Talking about marketing stunts, I did want to mention here, we continue discussing the podcast. Do I say thank you to our sponsor, liquidloans.io. That's right, guys. They are the official sponsor of the Zone 5 Pulsechain Podcast. We'll talk about them more in a little bit, but I did just want to always like to give them a shout out as we get the show started here.
What does Zone 5 mean?
Zone 5, that's a great question.
There we go.
Yeah, so basically when I started this idea for this podcast, Cassie and I had discussed calling it the Teach Me How to Hex podcast, because the whole thing is we want people coming in here and it's not just teaching us about the chain or the tokenomics, but also the culture and the community and things like that, teaching us about that, right? But Teach Me How to Hex is a great name, but every person I talked to said the same thing. They said, well, yeah, but Hex is on Pulsechain. Like now Pulsechain is like, this was the goal. It's here. So we want to teach people how to actually do stuff on Pulsechain because it's going to be a bigger, wider net. So, I had to totally change the name for the podcast. And I was just thinking like, what in the world? Like, what is that? I started thinking and it hit me. This is one of the dumbest times in my life when I just felt like, man, I am just so unbelievably low IQ. It hit me like a ton of bricks that Pulsechain and Pulsex are word plays off of Richard Hart.
Oh, okay. Yes.
To figure this out. And I didn't know it. And so I started thinking like, oh, well, that's kind of cool, actually. If you come up with something that's kind of close, it spins off of it, it might be kind of cool. So I started looking into heart rate and things in Zone 5. There are 5 heart rate zones. So you're done 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You go through aerobic and all this stuff. And, maximum capacity is the fifth one. It's the highest zone your heart can be in. And I mean, I think that's the idea of Pulsechain, right? To be as fast as it can possibly be, the fastest version of Ethereum, or so fast it replaces the version of Ethereum. And, obviously, I think the community, there's a lot of excitement in the community. So the heart rate thing made sense. And I was very pleased to find out from multiple people that the number 5 actually has some very special, meaning in the Hex community with the 5555, the 5,555 days, I think, right? Correct. Yep. Maximum stake time period lockup. And I also didn't realize that that's why all of these people are showing their token all the time, because they lock this thing up for 5,500.
Well, when you have the token, when you're going to be forced to look at it for the next 15.2 years, you're probably going to be like, well, I guess I'm here to shill my token for the next 15 years. Why even do anything else?
Yeah.
You're here, you're stuck, kind of. And some people think that, oh, look, you got scammed, you got stuck in a token. But I mean, look how many people are in the community that are just stuck here, that are now, wanting to promote it because they're like, well, I'm going to be here for another 15 years. Why not?
Did we explain to Ben what the 14 pulses mean?
I was going to say, if you want to know the real meaning of pulse, I will tell you off camera. I don't know if it's
we will tell you.
It's probably not a family friendly.
It's a family friendly podcast.
Yeah. It was a family friendly.
Sounds like this is something for single people.
Okay,
guys. I didn't say I'm a single person, baby. Okay, don't look at me.
Well, it's for people in relationships as well.
Gotta get your 14 pulses in.
Yeah, that's how it came up. And then it was like, oh, it pulse, heart. And I think that he was kind of, and we all kind of voted. That was the thing when Richard was coming up with the idea. We all voted for what we wanted, and we all sent Richard Telegram messages or whatever on Twitter of what we wanted to name it. And same with Hex. When most people don't realize it was called Bitcoin Hex for a long time before Hex was even around. So I got, if anybody, I got into Hex, I did one of the first streams for Hex in 2018, a year before it even came out. But I was talking about it because I wanted to, there was this referral program and stuff, and all of crypto was dead at that point. If you guys all remember that. And, so it was like the only thing that I looked forward to, no NFTs back then. Nothing was really,
people don't understand what it was like back then. We didn't go through the same kind of bear market this time we did then. This bear market stayed kind of interesting the whole time. There were some good pumps, but they weren't outlandish pumps that made it to where it was unsustainable. It was a huge crash or anything. I think it was a really smooth bear market, and I think a lot of people got off board, and it wasn't that hard to stay in. Obviously, the price went down and things, but let's take a moment right now as we are going to transition to the next stage of the show here, where we are going to pepper the guests with questions, and I might put some salt on them as well. But where we're going to just very quickly discuss our sponsor, liquidloans.io, one of the biggest projects on or one of the biggest platforms on Pulsechain, as you guys know. Corey, what's the latest in the Pulsechain Liquid Loans.io world? Like, what should people kind of be thinking about DeFi these days in Pulse?
So basically, if you guys know, Liquid Loans basically has the highest TVL on Pulsechain. If you count out the 4 RH tickers, Pulsechain, PulseX, PHEX, and Inc., they have the highest TVL. It allows you to have basically true DeFi on Pulsechain, allow you to have collateral, allows you to create your own loans without having to sell your Pulsechain. So that's very important when you're talking about value proposition, because again, you don't have to sell your Pulsechain, which we all really don't want everyone to sell, because then the price continuously goes down and hemorrhages in value. So I think that's a big proposition when it comes to Pulsechain. And as you guys know, like I said, again, it has the highest TVL on Pulsechain outside of the 4 tickers.
Life's unexpected expenses can be a headache, but Liquid Loans, the sponsor of the Zone 5 podcast, offers a quick and simple solution. Need a financial lifeline? Check out Liquid Loans and see how they can help you tackle those surprises with ease. A quick visit to their website could be the fix you're looking for. Absolutely. Well, we love them. They're a great sponsor. And I think that there is something to this. Hey, you can have your money and use it too. That's what the governments and the banks have been using and doing forever. And this is kind of what DeFi allows us to do. So I guess at this point, there's nothing else we can do but throw it to the Duchess.
So Hexologist, so I remember, when we went to Idaho, Ben had mentioned, he's like, I'm gonna meet up with this guy out here. And I was like, in Idaho? Of course, Idaho, like crypto has for me, a lot of my experience has been very, solitary. And so I didn't even think about the fact that there could be other crypto people in Idaho.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So I thought that was awesum. I was super stoked when we first
Yeah.
met up.
I invested heavily in Potato Coin when it first came out, but that one rug pulled immediately.
Hold on. I hate to tell you this. I don't know if you know this. That was actually not Potato Coin. That was Pot Coin.
Pot Coin. Yeah, geez.
I remember that.
Potato, but it was Pot Coin.
Yeah. Oh, that's what it
a bunch
was.
of money with Dennis Rodman over in North Korea to send missiles.
Dennis Rodman. I thought that was him. I thought, yeah.
They actually asked me to sponsor one of my shows. But yeah, I was
My God. So what got you involved with Hex? What was the appeal?
First, I saw Richard. His antics in 2017. He was one of these guys that was calling the Bitcoin top. I also was not. I was a Bitcoin maxi in 2017. One of these guys was like, "Oh, I'm only Bitcoin or whatever." I was following Tone Bays, these type of people. Yeah, exactly. And now I'm a devout Hexican. I've turned my ways, so it's did a 180. But I was watching Richard. He had a Telegram channel that was like Richard's Calls or something, and it was saying like, this is the Bitcoin top. I don't think that it's going any higher. And I was one of these guys who was like, what an idiot. This guy's an idiot. Doesn't know what he's talking about. And then literally after that, it just went down. Richard's, and then at the bottom, he was like, or not at the bottom, but he said he was making a coin. And he had made so many right predictions up until then, probably 2 or 3. I was like, well, this guy's actually smart. Maybe I should actually listen to him, because I've just gotten wrecked so far in crypto. So I started listening to him. He was coming out with Hex, or Bitcoin Hex at the time, and from there, I just started streaming. Day 1 of Hex, I streamed for 572 days straight.
Wow.
And from day 1 to 572, then I was like, okay, I'm going to take a break.
Yeah.
And so,
Wait a second. I've streamed every day since then.
He streamed when his child was born in the hospital.
Yeah, I did that. Yeah.
I have missed a few days here and there, as people know. I'm just kidding. But there was a long time where I didn't. I went years without missing a day doing video. If I
it's hard.
Yeah, it's really hard.
Yeah, nobody realizes how hard it is. That it seems like it's easy just to press the button, but just to come up with ideas and a thumbnail and all these things, it's not the easiest thing. I mean, it's a 24/7 job. Yeah. That's what people don't realize, because you always have to be on social media. You always have to be on looking for things. So it's not the easiest thing to do. And a lot of people are like, "Oh, well, you're influencers. You guys don't even do anything." It's like, all right, yeah, I guess so. We just are idiots.
Yeah, we don't do anything. We influence you to do it for us.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm not an influencer, guys. I want to make that very clear. I'm definitely not an influencer. Even though if you look up influencer, I match every definition of the criteria. I am not an influencer. Terrible word.
Right. The politically correct term is KOL.
No.
Right.
Key opinion leader.
I'm a KOL.
Yeah, you're a KOL, my guy.
Nobody. It's funny because everybody that is an influencer doesn't want to be called an influencer.
No.
Everyone's like, I don't want that name. Who said?
Yeah, they say the word influencer because of Kim K. If I can get paper like Kim K, I'd be
right.
Good.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying. So influence it up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Sorry. I think Richard would embrace that too. I think Richard would call himself an influencer.
Yeah, no, he does. He calls himself a mind or a thought leader, and I wouldn't. He doesn't think of himself as a YouTuber. I think that he thinks that's below him. I do think he thinks it's below him, but he does think that he's an influencer.
I think there are those of us that have transcended crypto influencing, right? I mean, Richard is one. Richard's also a founder. We have Bitcoin as well, but obviously I didn't found it. But Richard has his coin, so it separates, and there's a lot of money that came along with that. But, at the end of the day, Richard's like me. Richard, has a bigger dedicated following than I have right now and has for a while. But if the same thing happened to Richard that happened to me, and he had all of his stuff taken, all of his socials were gone, he was thrown in jail even. He was thrown in jail. I guess I had to go to jail too. He was thrown in jail for more than a night. And after 1 year, he comes out and he has no social media, no message to the world, nothing. He would rebuild and have hundreds of thousands of followers within a couple months, just like I did. No. Because he's transcended it. Not many of us have done that. I don't know if Guy from Coin Bureau went and started his own channel. I don't know if he could say that. I don't. Certainly, there are some that match that qualification. I'm sitting here trying to think of them. Maybe some people on Twitter. Kobe, Crypto Cobain is one for sure. There's some people that match that, but it's hard to get to that level and achieve that. And then when you get there, everybody's like saying that they don't like your job. Influencers suck. Like, man, I worked real hard to get here.
Yeah. Well, you're like Obi-Wan Kenobi, strike me down and I'll become more powerful.
That's 100% correct.
You're the Obi-Wan Kenobi of crypto.
Well, y'all saw what happened when the guy hit me and knocked me down.
True.
Impressive.
So, by the way, congratulations. I was trying to put out as many memes as I could to get that thing just as widespread as we could, because it was a great fight, man. I thought everybody was. I was like, dude, it was the best one of the night. It was by far.
I love when people say stuff like, because it was so fun. Like, it was just the best time of my life. I mean, it was amazing. Maybe Richard would get in there with me. Come on, Richard. But I was
it was amazing. I was happy about it.
Thank you. My next fight, I want it to be big. I want it to be someone big. I love More Light, a great guy. I mean, from what I know of him, and good experience with him. Tough as hell, for sure. Great competitor, fiery, man, tough as nails. But the next person I fight, it's got to be somebody big. It's got to be somebody where they're like, holy shit, this is BitBoy versus
Crypto Crow.
Goliath.
Who?
Crypto Crow. Because he's like 7 foot tall.
We've talked about that.
I was like, he's actually 7 foot tall. That's crazy.
That either.
Yeah,
I didn't when he put it on, and then he just like did like 2 punches, and the guy was like, I was like, damn, I would not want to get hit by that dude.
Moon Daddy's a big guy too.
Moon Daddy was an NFL player.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
He played defensive end for the Steelers, and he was a good player. And
well, when you start doing the call outs, I'll start doing the memes, and then you can I'll start doing the memes.
Well, I've been waiting. There's one guy that wants to come after me and trying to come after me for years. I feel like I just see him memeing all over. I don't even know who the guy is, but
these are good memes. These are these are pro Ben memes.
No, I'm talking about a guy who's actually like nonstop tweeting he wants to fight me, and he has been forever. And I want to be like Charles Hoskinson or like
it has to be somebody.
Right. It's got to be somebody.
Charles.
It's not just no.
Ben versus metallic butyrin.
I'd carry Carl around on my back. Metallic butyrin. I tell you, like the guy from Ankless, Ryan Sean Adams.
Oh my god.
Right, that guy. His partner, the other guy is fighting Nick Carter. He's the one who's the headliner.
Really?
So the other Bengals guy, the guy I called out for the Sam Bankman-Fried thing, like that would make sense. But I think I don't know. Maybe I'm not much. Maybe he's bigger than me, and I don't know.
I don't know.
His glasses.
Yeah.
Are these the uni guys that were hating on Richard for getting the SEC called him, and now that uni is going against him?
Absolutely.
Now that uni's getting the SEC, they're like, oh, let's defend the SEC or against the SEC for uni. It's like, well, you could have done that with Richard stuff.
Yep.
So let's discuss Hex in detail. How do you stake Hex, and what's the value proposition to stake Hex?
All right. So to stake Hex, you just go to go.hex.com. There's some links on there. You can actually download it to your computer. It is completely decentralized to the point where you can actually download an EXE on your computer in case all of the websites go down and everything else. And you can run it straight from your computer. You can stake it. You can unstake it from there. It's great. Just in case, like we've seen governments try to take down websites and stuff like this to where now they can't take it down. There's no way to take it down. And there's an IPFS link on there as well that you can stake. So you can actually use the website as well. The value proposition is the longer that you stake, the more that you get. So let's say you don't stake at all. You're not going to gain any of the inflation. So Hex inflates 3.69% a year. That is the amount that it inflates. Currently, it's got like 670 billion coins or something like that. So 3.69% of that is what it inflates every year. And that gets paid out to the stakers. All of the stakers are, rewarded with this inflation. And those people that, like I said, if you wanted to stake for a year, you get a certain amount. Now, if you stake for 10 years, you get 3 times the amount that person that from 1 to 10 years. And then 5,555 you get a stake the same as the T-share rate, which T-share rate is kind of it's very complex.
Yeah, I was going to
T-shares are just to say like right now it costs 33,000 hex for one T-share if you staked it for one day. But if you staked 33,000 hex for a year, it would give you 1.25 T-shares because you staked it for longer. But if you staked it for 10 years, then you actually get like 3 T-shares. So you get more. And the T-shares are what it kind of multiplies in to make it for your payout. So if you there's a payout per day. And right now, currently with the amount of people that are staked, you get about 6 hex per T-share. So if you have one T-share, you get 6 hex a day.
And that's kind of where the price is now compared to where it started. I heard like 33 hex or something, or 33,000.
33,000, right.
Right. Mm-hmm. So that's when it started?
No, so it started at 10,000 hex per T-share. And now it just climbs up. This is a thing that can never come back down. It'll never go back down to 10,000. It only climbs higher as more people end stake. It's one of those things that if you ever hear, oh, the hex T-share price can't go down, it's always going up. That's what they're talking about. They're not talking about the price of hex. They're talking about the T-share rate.
Yeah, so it's kind of like I guess the value proposition really here for the people who are staking hex for T-shares, right? Is like the T-shares is what's actually locking their value in. And so at the end of this 15 years, hex is now worth, $10. And, for every T-share you have, you trade that in and you get 60,000 hex. And that 60,000 hex is worth $6 million or $60 million or something like that or whatever, because this is 15 years. I mean, and we look at inflation, who knows what's going to happen with that stuff too. I mean,
and you get that payout per day. So it's not what the T-share rate is that day. That's how much it costs to get in that day. Right. You're getting paid out every single day, except for it's staked.
Yeah.
Right. So you're not getting paid out. You can't just press the button and unstake. You got to wait. So, and another thing with the T-shares is if somebody emergency unstake, say somebody stakes for a year and then they emergency unstake half their time, all of those penalties go to the people that are staked. And so your T-share is like the indicator of how much you're getting paid out. So if there's this many T-shares in the pool right now, you're getting this amount of the pool. And there's another half that is so 50% of it goes to the stakers, 50% of it goes to the OA wallet, which people hate. Oh my gosh, Richard owns all of this hex. He owns all of it. But it's like most of us in Hex wish Richard owned 99.9% of it because he's not selling it. He hasn't sold one coin and none of those wallets. Yeah. And it's like, so the more he gets or the more this OA gets,
that's why the price goes up.
The less that people have to sell. And so it becomes more and more rare and people don't realize that that's actually a good thing. It's not a bug, guys. It's not a bug. Yeah. It's actually something coded in.
I agree. I think that there's this concept I see on Twitter, not concept, but there's this argument against Hex on Twitter about the OA. And it's like, you trust the OA for having all of this supply. But I mean, at the same time, how many layer 1 blockchains have a foundation or a hierarchical structure where one entity or a few individuals at the top own a large portion of the supply and have been proven to sell a significant amount of that particular cryptocurrency, of that particular layer 1, constantly over time. So I think that's a very flawed argument when people say that, Richard as the OA or whoever the OA is, but whatever the OA may be held by, I think it's a little bit of a flawed argument there.
Well, who would want to sell their coin when they have like go and look at the liquidity for Hex? It's probably got like $30 million right now or something like that. But Richard, in the sacrifices, if you look at how much he gathered, it's probably about $1 billion. Yeah. Do you think he's going to destroy his coin for $30 million, dollars that some of it might even be his money in the liquidity pools? So it's like, he's probably not going to do that. He has actual dollars of $1 billion that he could, or more. Yeah. Because there was $2 billion completely sacrificed. Some people say that half of it was his or 80% of it or whatever. But yeah, I mean, he's got hundreds of millions of dollars. Is he going to destroy, these people? Oh, it's going to rug pull. Like, why would he rug pull it for the money that's in there? It would, how many people would be looking for Richard Hart if
I agree.
Liquid Loans is the first truly decentralized lending protocol built specifically for Pulsechain. Fully backed stablecoin, low 100% collateral ratio, no repayment schedule, immutable, governance-free, no admin keys. Visit liquidloans.io to learn more or to watch videos to find out how it works.
And if you've looked at the Hex community, a lot of us, including myself, we're in the military. I was in the Marines. I'm a combat veteran. You know, we all are you know, yeah, thank you. But there's a lot of people that are in the Hex community that, and he's mentioned this before. He's like, I'm not going to mess with the Hex community. Most of them are military dudes. Why would I want to do that? So, I mean, it is.
It's not advantageous by any means.
Well,
yeah.
I mean, he was on my show. He was on my show several years ago, and there's a clip that went around where he said this. So what Richard says is he explains that, you know, the fact is that if the owner of that address were to sell everything, that he has no motivation to do that, it would destroy the price. He said that's no different than Tesla. If all of a sudden tomorrow Elon Musk woke up and sold all of his Tesla stock, it would collapse the same way a crypto would collapse if you sold all the liquidity, you know, all the coins. And so I thought that was a beautiful example of, you know, the reality of the situation. There is no motivation. It's not the traditional finance system is so good at tricking us into believing that they do different stuff than we do.
Right. Yeah.
It's safer.
No.
Yeah.
Well,
their system is backed up by them.
Right. Well, and they don't like, it's these people that are complete degens anyway that are talking about this, because it's like, dude, this could happen in any of these different coins that we've been around. I mean, we've all been around. I've been around since 2016. I don't know how long you've been around, Corey Costa, but we all been around since, you know,
12
almost
years.
Yeah. Okay. So we've almost been here, you know, 8 to 10, 12 years or whatever. It's like, we've seen so many coins go up and then come down, and then they're never even heard of before. Again, the founders are never heard of, you know, these
projects gone.
Yeah, go look at the top 20 from 5 years ago.
Very different.
Look at 2015 top 10.
Right.
You'll see Ripple, Ethereum, Litecoin. You don't see anything else. You won't recognize another one up there.
That's crazy.
Right. And so these founders, you know, these people want to say, oh, Richard's going to do this. It's like, well, that's just what crypto does. And it's amazing that Hex has been around for 5 years now and is still, you know, the community's still there. There's a lot of people still here. If you wanted to do it, most scams in crypto last maybe a year, maybe.
Yeah.
Like most of them are gone. You know, they do a month, they pull money, and then they're gone.
Exactly.
Look, here's the thing. The scam of Hex is the vulnerability to Rich or whoever's selling everything. That is the scam.
Right.
If that were to happen, yes, this would be an exit scam. This would be no. If it was a hack, it would be a hack. That's not really considered a scam. It would be a hack and a stuff. That's why people call it a Ponzi scheme. Because if that did occur, the structure that's been built would collapse. And, you know, it is dependent, I think, on more money coming in on some level, but it's also, you know, assuming the price should be going up and the world economy should be going up and crypto should be going up. And that's what people are really staking in. When you stake 15 years in Hex or however many years you're not staking actually in Hex. You're staking in your belief that cryptocurrency is going to be around and that Hex is going to be a part of that still in 15 years.
Right.
And when you say that, I mean, the thing is, most people think that it's a Ponzi because you get paid out and that you stake and you get paid. All Ponzi's pretty much are paying you out in USDC. You know, they think, oh, we're paying you out. You know, you stake your Hex and you're getting paid out $5 of USDC every day. You get paid out in the currency it is. So it's paying you out in Hex. It always can pay you out because it's coded in there to be able to pay you out. There's no way it can fail because there's nobody pulling the levers and saying, "Oh, you can't get your payout today because it's completely decentralized. It's all code. You can look up the code yourself, and it doesn't rely. If Richard went to jail or he died today, maybe the price dies, and maybe it goes to the lowest zero. But on Uniswap, you can't go to zero if there's liquidity, and so there will always be a payout. It'll always be able to pay you out in the in Hex, so it'll always be around.
As long as Hex has value, as long as there's a price and it has value, then that will continue. And of course, actually, that's not true. It'll continue either way.
It doesn't matter if it has value. Yeah.
It depends on if what you're getting is worth anything or not.
Yes. You can get paid out $0 tokens, if it's zero. And yeah.
I get a lot of zero tokens, and I don't know what you're talking about. I've seen them with no zeros. I know that.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I've seen that too. Yeah, exactly.
So I'm wondering, is there like a diagram, or I don't know if this would be it would be a Pulsechain Explorer, but basically kind of like a diagram showing the unlock timeframes? Because some people obviously got into Hex, years and years ago.
Right.
Do you know if there's any kind of tool
like a heat map kind of? When
yeah.
Yeah.
No, good. Yeah, that's a good question. There is multiple ways to actually see when people are unstaking, which is one of the things Richard says is look at when everybody else is staking and maybe don't stake it, or when your stakes are coming due, don't have them coming due when everybody else is.
It's like, like token drops or token unlocks.
Right.
Yeah. Right. And you can see it and that's one of the cool things about crypto in general, right? Is because it's a public ledger. You can see when everybody's coming out. There are ways to do it. There's multiple websites that you can do it. I can't, off the top of my head, I can't think of it right now, but there are multiple websites.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. Good question.
Speaking of curious, I'm curious when we're going to end the show, and I think we're going to have to end it right now. It's been a fantastic episode, Hexologist. Thank you so much for joining us. Corey Costa, thank you always for just being the rock of pulse that we need. And then, of course, to the lovely Duchess of DeFi, thank you for allowing me to look at you during the whole show. And guys, it is Zone 5. Pulsechain Podcast. Bye-bye. Thank you to Liquid Loans, the sponsor of the Zone 5 podcast. With Liquid Loans, you never have to sell your pulse. Hashtag never selling. With liquidloans.io, never selling is more than just a meme. It's actually kind of possible. So if you've ever wanted to have your Lambo and drive it too, then start your zero interest free loan journey today. Liquidloans.io.